Night shift workers, have you actually used this stuff? You might not have used this specific brand, but you might have used something similar. Through my time as a night shift worker, I've tried many sleep aids, including melatonin, and this one, for the most part, just didn't work for me. Throughout this video, I want to explain exactly why that was the case so you don't fall into the same traps that I did. Hi, I'm Emma, and thanks for checking out this video. Over the last 10 years, I've been a registered nurse working a day shift, afternoon, night shifts, whatever really they want to throw at me. Sometimes after those shifts, you sleep really well, and other times you are just staring at the ceiling and your brain's going 1,000 miles an hour. So a few of my nursing colleagues, as I was complaining to them, recommended that I try melatonin. I'd never really heard about it before, as it's not readily available in Australia. You need a prescription for it, so I hadn't really heard of it. But since I was living in the United States at the time, they're like, you got to try this stuff. You can just go down from Walgreens, pick it up. You don't need a script, easy. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give this stuff a go. But over a series of about a month and a half, I tried to take melatonin at different times. I took it just when I got home from a shift. I was taking it at midday. I was sort of double dosing myself, but it didn't matter when I was taking it. I kept waking up feeling terrible. I was nauseated. I had a headache. I felt, I hate to say it, like I was hungover. I felt awful, and I felt, how am I actually going to go to the hospital and actually look after someone when I'm feeling this terrible? So I don't think melatonin is really for me. I've used it a couple of times since then and had okay success, but on the whole, this is absolutely not a sleeping aid that I rely on. I much prefer to rely on sleep aids such as our absolutely loved blue light blocking glasses from Swanwick Sleep, or an oversized eye mask such as this glorious thing that covers everything. And also the use of aromatherapy such as the diffuser I've got by my bedside table. I much prefer to use sleep aids like this than melatonin, despite that being a not so popular choice. If you are thinking about taking melatonin just like I did, it is totally fine and it is safe to take. The point of this video isn't to convince you not to take it, but more just to give you a different perspective on what you might have heard from your colleagues and true lovers of melatonin. So the first thing that I wanted to point out is melatonin is a dietary supplement. So what that means is the FDA, the Food and Drug Association in America, they don't sort of monitor how melatonin is produced and what's inside each tablet. So therefore, the differences in one brand compared to the next brand can vary greatly. They've done it, there's been a lot of research that's been done into melatonin, and let's say you buy 5 grams of melatonin in one particular brand. If you buy 5 milligrams of melatonin in another brand, you are not going to get probably not the same amount of the active ingredient in both of the pills. They are not regulated, and it's just different brands can create their own melatonin. So you could really, from a 5 milligram tablet, get 3 milligrams, 4 milligrams, or anything as high as sort of 8, 9, 10 milligrams, all from something that you think is only 5 milligrams. The second thing that's worth pointing out, as I mentioned earlier, is in the United States, melatonin is readily available in any chemist. You can go to a Walgreens or a CVS chemist, go to the pill section and find an array of different melatonins, all ranging in doses and brands. Whereas if you live in parts of Europe and also in Australia, we need a prescription in order to get melatonin. When we think about the dose of melatonin, we want to start with the smallest amount generally possible that you can find. 0.5 of a milligram is probably where we should start. Between 0.5 and 1 to 2 milligrams is a really great starting point. This might blow your mind as it did mine, as most night shift workers you talk to say, 2 milligrams, what is that? That's a baby dose, it's never gonna work. And you hear all these things and it makes you sort of feel like almost like a little bit of a loser that you're taking a 0.5 milligram of a tablet when they're taking 8, 9, 10 milligrams of this stuff. Like, we shouldn't be taking more melatonin than the body naturally produces. It's produced in the pineal gland in our brain, and when it detects darkness, the levels of melatonin rise in our body, and when it detects any sort of light, it decreases. So it's something that's naturally produced in our bodies. We shouldn't be taking ever really 10 milligrams unless you've been directed by a doctor or you've been taking it for a long time and you've had medical direction to take this much. I think this was a huge problem for me when I first started taking melatonin. Is my body absolutely did not need 5 milligrams. I think I should have started on a much smaller dose and have since, and I've had much greater success. So if you really are thinking about it, start small. The timing of when you actually take melatonin will have a huge impact on the side effects that you experience and also how effective it is. So generally it's recommended that you should take melatonin about 2 to 3 hours before you intend on going to sleep, which could be tricky for us working night shift because this is probably when we're driving home, and I don't know about you, but I don't really want to start feeling sleepy when I'm driving home. So if you are considering taking it, maybe take it as soon as you get home before you start your night shift routine. Remember, little dose straight when you get home. 11 a.m. is probably the latest that I'd want to take it. I don't want to take it any time in the afternoon because you just wake up to feeling super groggy and having that hangover feeling, which is really awful. The other thing to consider is what brand you're going to take, making sure they're from a reputable source that actually know what they're doing. I'll pop up some logos on the side here too, so you can look at when you're looking at the label to really make sure that the logos that I'm featuring here are somewhere on the packaging of the melatonin that you're buying. So you know it's not some cowboy in their garage making melatonin and fooling us when we're tired and vulnerable, because I don't want that for you. While I'm touching on the brands, some people do recommend that the slow release melatonin might be better in terms of keeping us asleep for longer. I haven't personally tried the slow release tablet, but it might be worth looking into if you are experimenting with melatonin and do want to give it a go when you're on your next night shift. The other thing to consider when taking melatonin is, are you taking any other tablets, either for depression, for blood pressure, for diabetes, any other sort of chronic health condition that you're taking pills for? It may not agree with melatonin. So just before you pop a melatonin pill, maybe just go and see your doctor to make sure that all the tablets are all friends and can all work well together. So even though I don't really like melatonin for all the reasons I've explained today, and much prefer to use other sleep aids such as the one that I'll link above my head and in the description below this video, I still keep a little tub, some pills of melatonin in our cupboard just in case of emergency. I now know that I have to take a smaller dose and I need to take it well before I plan on getting up, sort of at least 8 to 9 hours before I intended getting up, and not taking it in the afternoon. Now I know these things and I know which brands to look for. I feel safe and I feel confident that I can take melatonin and it's actually going to work for me. Hopefully it's going to work for me. So it's okay to have an emergency stash of melatonin in your cupboard. It's just not something that I would rely on after every single night shift. I wish you the best of luck. Comment below, do you use melatonin? What brands do you use? How much do you use? I'd love to find out what you use and if there's anything that I'm missing. We'd love to share with our shift work community. If you like these cool tips, I have so much more in store for you. I really want to help you sleep on night shift and be the happiest or healthiest shift worker that you possibly can. So consider subscribing to our channel and liking this video, and it just pumps me up to make more videos when I'm super tired after a night shift. So I really appreciate your support.